The first lockdown for us was an expensive time. It came unannounced, and obviously with that we lost a lot of stock, which we then had to replace. The big concern for us is whether customers would still remember us once we locked down and they weren't able to visit us.
We literally fell through the floor, and after 2 weeks we were considering whether we were going to shut several sites because of it. As well as being in Tier 2, you got zero support, so we would prefer to be shut than in Tier 2.
It's almost creating separation, like there's people that definitely will be isolated because they can't go out and have a pint with their friends. So yeah, it's pretty scary times in that sense.
I'm Sam, I run the Beartown Tap, tap house for the Beartown Brewery. I've been here for 2.5 years. I think one of the saddest things about all the measures that have been introduced is the social impact that they've had on customers. For us, the pub has always been a place of fun, a place where people are welcomed, and unfortunately a lot of the measures that we've been forced to adhere to have meant that we've had to reduce that in some ways. We've had to distance customers from people that they know, we've had to prevent people mingling, we've had groups of friends who previously would come down and sit around the fire who've been forced to sit outside, and I think it's lessened their experience.
We're Reubens Bar and Barbecue. We've got 3 sites, but it started off in Congleton. My mum and dad running it, mum in the kitchen, dad out the front. Me and my sister Nina took over. We've been doing it for about 5 or 6 years, and we've grown to 3 sites now, one in Biddulph and one in Whitchurch. The biggest effect of people coming through the door at Reubens would be the going to one household. That was a killer. First off, with the curfew, obviously it is limiting, as when we were allowed to have people in the restaurant, it's obviously limiting the time we're allowed to be open. It's stopping you having that last drink. There feels like there's a bit of a rush, which I know people that could quite easily stay in here till 12 o'clock, have a couple more. It loses that social element slightly, but obviously in the circumstances, it needs to happen.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm from Life and Soul Limited, and we operate Rumba, Ariba, the Castle Inn and the Crazy Moose, which is about to open. Since the first lockdown, we had a couple of sites that were just in the process of opening, but as soon as we got told, we instantly had to shut all of our doors, and we put everything onto ice. Everyone went onto furlough, and we got the round of grants. But since reopening on the 4th of July and putting all the measures in place to open up, it affected us by dropping our revenue by 75%.
So the 10 PM curfew for us was particularly damaging. I think most people like to come out later in the evening, around 8 PM. If they're only in the pub till 10, then they don't really have much time to enjoy themselves. And again, they're rushed home, and unfortunately for us, that leads to a massive decline in revenue. I think for us, roughly, it accounted for about 20% of our weekly take-ins, so it was quite damaging to us.
The 10 PM curfew for us, I'd say, wasn't too bad in comparison to pubs and bars. We are predominantly food-led, so you know, people are coming in for food, and the time you're eating tends to be like your peak time's 7:30. So not particularly. It's dropped us a little bit in turnover, but other than that, it's not too bad.
When we reopened from lockdown, and especially when the 10 PM curfew come in, a lot of our customers were good. Everyone came out earlier, so instead of happy hour starting at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, it was brought forward till 3 o'clock. We started having earlier peaks, and obviously at 10 o'clock everyone was out. It did hit our revenue again, but we were able to get through. We were bumping along, we were doing all right. We weren't setting the world on fire, but we weren't losing money. We were still in a position where we could come out of this.
We've been grateful for the support that we have received from the government. I think our main concern with locking down was obviously we'd have no income. And the concern there was that as a local employer, we'd have to make people redundant. And our key priority was always protecting jobs and making sure we had a business that could reopen and service the community. Things like the furlough scheme have been a massive help, and it has definitely meant that we've been able to keep staff that we otherwise wouldn't have. The grants that initially came about did provide some respite, and it allowed us to remain closed and keep the business afloat. Without that, I think there would have been a serious detrimental impact on the business.
What they've done has been vital. Yes, we can moan about certain things, and obviously there's always going to be people that fall through the cracks, but the grants have made our costs that continue, our fixed overheads, they were covered. I would say that and the furlough has just been massive. And the fact that they've been able to change it when we've gone back into a second lockdown is really important, because that stopped us from having to lose too many other staff.
The initial support we got was good. We were eligible for several grants across the site. It just gave us the ability to get through the lockdown and be able to come out at the end with a business still.
I think as pubs we fully support all the measures in place that are designed to protect people's well-being. I think our frustration is that we feel slightly demonised by the fact that only 4% of cases have actually occurred in pubs. We have quite stringent measures in place. We adhere to social distancing, we've reduced capacity, we have hand sanitisers, PPE. We feel that we take our measures quite seriously and we offer a lot of protection for customers in order to keep them safe. Our frustration comes from the fact that we perhaps don't see that in other industries and feel that perhaps we're being made a bit of a scapegoat for outbreaks.
If it's going to help and it's going to help society, then yeah, I'm all for it closing. If I just had my business brain on, I'd say with 4%, it's a small fraction in comparison to schools. That would be the big thing for me. Like, if you're looking at numbers, why close us when other places are open that are causing more? So that would be my big thing. But I mean, if it helps, then I'm all for it.
I feel that hospitality from the very start of this got the brunt end of the deal. We were the easiest people to blame. Everyone thinks that everyone gets drunk and mingles. You know, with the social distancing and the people that operated properly like ourselves, we kept everyone apart, we kept the social distancing in place, we were doing everything that we were told to do from the government with the guidelines. But we're the first ones to shut and they keep education open. So for me, it makes me angry.
Our pub is all based around a community atmosphere, and thankfully people have continued to visit us even with the restrictions in place. We have events such as street food that we do on Fridays, we have quiz nights that we do, which have always been popular. It's always great to see new faces.
During the second lockdown, we are looking at reopening as the takeaway and delivery service, so we'll be smashing out deliveries 5 days a week in Reubens, Wednesday to Sunday. The American roast on a Sunday flies out, so we're excited to sort of launch that side.
We are festively getting ready. Bookings are open now for Rumbas, and Reba and the Crazy Moose will be walk-ins. So yeah, hopefully with the team that we've got who've stuck by us through all this, we are going to work hard. We've been in Congleton for a long time now, so I think the local community, if anything to do to help us, is, I know we've got the support from them, we always have. We feel we've invested in Congleton and they've rewarded us by coming into our venues all the time, and I think definitely everyone will be eager to come back out, and definitely when dancing and music is allowed, which is a huge part of society.
What I need from the local community is buying a lot of burgers. Buying a lot of burgers, that would be ideal for me personally, but just support local. I know that's a big phrase these days, but it does mean a lot. Support, if you can spend. If you can't, just sharing a post on social media, getting us out to people that may be able to, tagging your friends. Also, if you've been in, reviewing us. I'd hope that everyone's had a decent experience, and you know, it's nice that people can do that. That means a lot to us.
I think our hopes for the future are that we can return to a more normal pub environment. As daft as it sounds, we miss having customers at the bar. We've always had quite an interactive experience with customers whereby we talk them through the beers that we sell and the products that we've got, and that is quite a social thing for us to do. And it saddens us slightly that people are forced to stay away from the bar and keep to their own groups. Pubs for me are always about mingling and meeting people that you perhaps otherwise wouldn't. And unfortunately, that's not something that we're able to do at the moment. We live week to week at the moment and we're not able to plan. So everything is very spontaneous. And whilst we can adapt to it, it's not a realistic way to run a business in the long term.
Obviously, the number one thing that comes to mind is uncertainty. There's a lot of people that are losing jobs, a lot of people that you know, are really struggling, and just like anything, is it seen as an essential to have a takeaway? Is it seen as something, or can we avoid that, do it cheaper? That's the worry for us.
I think for us, we just need to know what exactly we're coming out of this second lockdown into. The 10 PM curfew reduced our revenue by a further 30% than we opened up with the initial restrictions. So we were literally onto the bare bones of what we needed to do. But the restrictions don't help at all. Everything that we do in our business is social. It's we want people to be dancing and enjoying themselves, and restrictions and social distancing are completely the opposite of that.
We will survive because we have a strong family unit that allows us to open through thick and thin, and at the end of the day, that we've been through a couple of recessions over the 30 years that my family have been here. So it's one of those things that we'll just work harder as a unit, but we really couldn't do that without the government support as well.
Yeah, huge shout out to all the guys at Life and Soul. We are like a massive family. Whatever we've asked them to do, they've done. We are positive, and we'll still be here in years to come.
Thanks to the support of the local community, we've got an award-winning pub that has got a vibrant atmosphere. It was a pub that previously could have faced closure. It's protected jobs, and it's meant that we have got a viable business that can still play a role in the community, and for that we're eternally thankful.